Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to Natalie Levin Astrology. My name is Natalie Levin, and I am so happy to be with you. And thank you so much to Nadiya Shah for asking me to be a part of her channel for one of her featured, she says, featured up and coming astrologers. So I am very honored. And as a side note, I would love to say that my North Node, which is my life mission, is in Aquarius, and Nadiya Shah is an Aquarian. So I feel like she is part of my life mission. It's part of my life mission to be in contact with her. And I'd love to talk today about how astrology has helped me to soften and let go of shame. Because for me, I've been in Jungian analysis for 28, let's see, since I was 28, I don't remember, for many years. I feel like I've been in therapy actually for 21 years, as I have, because I'm about to be 50. So of course I started therapy at 28, which is our Saturn return usually. And Saturn comes along and asks us at around age 28, 29, 30-ish, and then again in another 28 years, around 56, 57, 58-ish. It asks us to, are the structures of our lives working the way we want them to work? If not, everything collapses, at least it did for me. And then we are asked to step into adulthood. What does that look like? And for me, it was starting therapy. That was one of the main things. My Saturn return actually involved awakening to her story of abuse in my family and ancestral trauma. It also involved my having a total breakdown and not being able to function anymore. I couldn't get out of bed for about a year. And at that point, at my Saturn return, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, which I actually think now is all of my mood swings were a trauma response. So looking back on it, I feel like that might have been part of what was going on. However, I did receive medication, and I'm grateful because it kept me in my body because I wanted to leave my body. And a few years after my Saturn return, so I might have been experiencing yet another big transit, I was curious about astrology, and there was a woman in my circle. I was living in New York City and I was teaching yoga, and I was a professional opera singer. And she invited me, she talked a little bit with me about astrology. And I said, "Oh, how do you know so much?" I said, "I'm so curious." She said, I actually am an astrologer. And I was like, and her name is Karina Bouthelette, and she's amazing. She lives in New York. And I called her, I said, "I'd like a session." And one of the first things that she said to me, she said it in a way that was, I'm sure, very compassionate and loving. And the way I heard it was that way. I don't know how I would word this if I were a client, a teacher, if I were an astrologer talking to a client, but she said something like, people with charts like yours can have a hard time feeling steady. Like mental illness is something that could come up for people with charts like yours. And it was such a relief for me to have someone say that, to know, oh wait, there's nothing wrong with me. Like I actually have a chart that leans towards mood swings, that leans towards suicidality, the energy of it. Now, free will and love, I believe, trump astrology. However, there is a definite vibration. There's a definite tendency with the planets and how they show up in our charts in terms of how I'm going to express myself. So for me, I have my sun, and it's called Kazimi, which means it's right on top of their like at the same exact degree. My sun is at 15 degrees of Pisces, and there are 30 degrees in every sign. And my Gemini, my Mercury is at 15 degrees of Pisces as well. So already my very isness, the sun could fit 1.3 million Earths inside it. Already I have this energy of so much Pisces, so much no boundaries. Pisces is like, and then my Mercury, which is how my mind works and how I communicate, is also in Pisces on the same degree as my sun. It's actually only separated by 2 minutes. So it's pretty exact. So it's so much ether, water pouring through me all the time. Now, it's also, let's throw this in the 8th house. So here I am with no connection to Earth, at least in my sun and my Mercury. And then I'm in the 8th house, which rules death, sex, the occult, magic. I mean, I talk about swimming and always having a foot in what is not here on planet Earth. Then if you throw in the fact that I am my sun and my Mercury trine my moon, which is in the 12th house in Cancer at 17 degrees. So when you hear people talk about the 12th house, it can be very, that again rules asylums, institutions, prisons, the 12th house. And then my moon, which is my emotional world and how I feel things, is there. And it's in Cancer, which is yet another water sign. I mean, talk about not having steadiness in the emotional world. So thank all the aliens. I was open to taking medication, and the medication did help me to stay on planet Earth. Because what I believe is that if we actually do help ourselves to leave our bodies, suicide ourselves, I will be born with the exact same challenges in my chart that I was born with in this lifetime. That is the main reason that I stay. I really, it's really challenging and can feel very uncomfortable to be a human being on planet Earth. And I have questioned many times, why am I staying here? And the answer is often, all right, well, I don't feel like doing this one again. So I'm going to hang in there and see what more is revealed. Another thing, so that has been very shame reducing for me to know that it is simply a part of my cosmic soul blueprint, my astrology natal chart, to not feel, to tend towards suicidality and to tend towards mood swings, very big mood swings. And another thing that is actually in my chart is a signature of abuse. It is Mars square Pluto. And I have Mars in the 5th house squaring Pluto in the 3rd house. They're both, Mars is at 26 degrees of Sagittarius and Pluto is at 28 degrees of Virgo. So again, that's helpful to know, oh, it's in your chart. It's in your chart that there is a tendency towards abuse. And it could be me being the abuser too, which I have been. I've been a bully. I've been Pluto could be the energy of victim or abuser. So at this point in my life, I'm almost 50, and I feel like I am really learning how to use my power for highest vibration energy, highest good. And I'm also right now in my Chiron return, and Chiron is the energy of the wounded healer. And at this point, I feel like I am really doing wounded healer work. Like all of the amazing challenges and life pain that I have experienced up till now, I am able to sit with others in. It's not an accident that the clients who usually come to me have had some sort of a sexual abuse history or an abuse history, or they have some sort of a dialogue in their lives with mood swings or depression or suicidality. I attract that because that is probably some sort of the vibration I put out. I don't really know how to explain it. Or their charts sense that about me. So it's really beautiful to be able to take all of that challenging experience from my lifetime and to offer to others, witnessing, validating, holding space for them. I can be a container for you. I can sit and be with you as you are in the Scorpionic realms where my sun and my Mercury live. Like, there they are. I'm very comfortable there. I am very comfortable with death. I've done hospice work again with my moon in the 12th house. Oh, I've wondered about being a death doula. What would that look like? I'm so fascinated by this idea of sitting with someone as his, her, their spirits leave the body. What an honor and a privilege that would be. And something else that has been really helpful in terms of shame reduction for me in this lifetime is I spent a good part of my life up until around age 36 as a professional opera singer. And I was singing around the world, and it was fun because I was really good at it and people gave me money for it. And I was like, oh, this is great. Until it wasn't. And one day in therapy, I had just received I just had signed a contract to go do another gig. And in therapy, I was crying and saying, I don't want to go. I don't know where to go. And my therapist said, is anyone forcing you to do this? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but are there not many people like banging down the door behind you to get that job? And I was like, yes. And he said, well, whom would it hurt if you didn't go? And I was like, nobody. So I canceled the contract. And at 36, which I was having a lot of really big transits at that time. At 36, I was having, around that time, Uranus was passing over my sun. So it was like explosion after explosion. I didn't know that then. I didn't know what was going on, but I was having a nodal return, which is, if you have not been through that yet, or you don't know what it is, my experience is it can be an opportunity for one's life to totally fall apart so that something new can be born. So for me, I had my nodal return, Pluto square Pluto, and Uranus passing over my sun pretty much all in the same time period. And what that looked like is, and Pluto square Pluto is, again, this opportunity for a total dissolving. Pluto comes along and dissolves and disintegrates whatever it touches. And so if my Pluto, which is in Virgo and in the 3rd house, it's about communication. My Pluto and the way I communicate through my voice, it was that at that point dissolved. It just everything fell apart. So it looked like I woke up in the Bronx one day and said, oh my gosh, I'm living in a poop hole, making it like appropriate for all ages. I'm living in a poop hole, moved back to Pennsylvania within 3 weeks. My husband and I broke up. I declared bankruptcy. I became incredibly depressed and couldn't get out of bed, was struggling with severe anxiety and agoraphobia. And yeah, it was whole hog, like everything totally fell apart. And now it's about 13 or 14 years later, and my life is so different right now. This is where I wanted to share again some shame reduction about my chart that is really helpful for me. It feels really empowering, is that my South Node is in Leo, and it's Leo energy is like, he's usually, oh, hey, I can be on stage. I'm really comfortable up here. I love having people see me. This is great. Da, 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 da. And so for me, it's stuff that I'm bringing in from a previous lifetime that perhaps I really knew how to do in the previous lifetime. And now in this lifetime, it's like, let's clean up the loose ends. And now we're going to move on. So that for me was my opera singing. Like, I came in maybe in a recent lifetime, I was really on stage all the time. I did it my whole life. Who knows, maybe I don't know. We don't know. Like, maybe Mozart wrote music for me. I'm making that up. And then in this lifetime, my North Node is in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules astrology. So here I am now at 50, almost 50. And suddenly I am doing this amazing, incredible soul spirit work that is my life mission. It just took me a while to get there. It took me a while to land in my life mission. It is so beautiful to me. It feels so moving. It's also in the 7th house for me, my North Node. And the 7th house is related to being a counselor or having clients, working with clients, like being in relationship. So now here I am having clients come to me, and I am doing the North Node in Aquarius. And so there was a time when I was feeling slightly bad about like, oh man, I'm really good at singing. I'm getting hired for it. I have a voice part, like it's called dramatic mezzo soprano, which is not like the most common. The most common is a soprano. And I'm like, I could get roles. And to know that that is actually stuff from a previous lifetime that I'm not here to do in this lifetime anymore. And I've already done that, been there, done that. Like, it's so helpful and so relieving. Even saying it out loud right now with you all, astrally listening, feels really good to sit into that again. And I feel like my hope and wish for people is that they are able to feel some sense of the fact that they are on purpose when I work with them. Like, another thing that is about my chart that is empowering and feels really good is that my Saturn is in Taurus, and it's at 17 degrees of Taurus. So it's like one of my saving graces because with all of the other Pisces energy and Cancer energy, 8th house, and like a lot of mutable energy. I have Neptune and Jupiter and Mars all in Sagittarius. It's mutable. It's like my chart is not very steady, but I have Saturn in Taurus, and he's sextiling, sextiling is this conversation of, I've heard it described by Rick Levine as, here I am, I'm at a party, and there are 2 groups at the party, and this group over here is talking, and this group over here is talking, and then they start talking to each other. So it's like this happy, not super deep, but happy and light conversation happening. So Saturn is having a happy and light conversation with my Sun, which is my ego, with my Mercury, which is how my mind works, and also with my Moon, which is my emotional world. So, and thank all the angels, Saturn is in Taurus. It's the most steady and most fixed sign. So I have this, and he's in my 10th house. So there I have in my 10th house is public, how I am in the public, my career. I am able, when I need to, when I feel the passion, when I feel moved, my Moon in Cancer, my Pisces, Sun and Mercury, I am able to work and work really hard and work very steadily and be very reliable. I am very grateful that my soul chose that placement for Saturn when I was born. Yeah. So that also, it feels empowering. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, I have that superpower. I can call on it when I'm feeling like I can't focus, or I can call it and say, Saturn, I need you to help me focus and do this next right thing. So I wonder how what I've talked about lands with you. How do you feel about your chart? If you even know what your chart looks like. When I first started listening to astrology about 13 or 14 years ago, I did not know what anyone was saying. It all sounded like a totally foreign language to me. And because of all my mutable energy and all my water energy, I do speak about 5 other languages. I didn't speak astrology at that time. And I simply would listen as a part of my healing journey. I would listen to some of the great astrologers. Nadiya Shah was in my play. I was working in an office. I'd listen to Nadiya Shah, Rick Levine, Michael Lutin, Anne Orderly. I had this lineup in my ears, and I kept learning and learning and learning the language of the planets and the stars and the asteroids and the zodiac. And then eventually I took a class and learned how to read the chart, and it came like that. Like, I was like, oh, I'm remembering this from a previous lifetime. I must have done this before. And it is so beautiful for me to be able to help others with this tool, and to see them have a sigh of relief or sometimes cry when I say, oh yes, this is in your chart. It's in your chart that you have a voice nonstop telling you that you are not enough. Of course, there's Saturn. Look, like Saturn on your moon. Oh yeah, of course. Blah 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 blah. And they're like, ooh, like it feels so good to them to feel so witnessed and seen, and that there's nothing they're doing wrong. It's simply like, oh, you have blue eyes. Oh, you have Saturn on your moon. This is how it could be manifesting. I am so grateful to you all for choosing to incarnate with me. Thank you so much. This being human is an honor and a privilege. What I have learned is that one of the main things we get to do when we're in human form is feel emotions. And when we're not in human form, when we're in our spirit form, we actually don't have as much, the sense of an emotion is more like an echo or a shadow. And when we're in our physical form, we actually can experience all of these colors, whether we enjoy it or not. So one of the things I say is I am grateful for all of the emotions that are constantly flowing to and through me. And I am grateful that I'm divinely led and divinely protected. And I am grateful that you are all divinely led and divinely protected. And if you are interested in knowing how the planets are landing in your chart and you're curious to work with me, I believe Nadiya Shah is going to have my contact information related to this video below. And again, I'm Natalie Levin, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube and Instagram. And thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so grateful to you all. Okay, take care.